top of the screen. Let's watch Wilson. Okay, sluggo, obviously drop at the end, not ideal. Now, in terms of the route, the dry face coming off the ball, there's really not much we have to get into with that, especially when a guy's playing in 10 yards off. As long as we're seeing some good pacing here, you want to see 90+% effort into the stem just to get him thinking a little bit. And then you're going to run the slant portion. He's thinking, okay, he got me to back up a little bit to run that slant, that bang eight, whatever. He's going to drive down to try to cut off that angle. And then he's going, obviously Garrett Wilson's going to plant his inside foot and burst back to the outside for the more vertical portion of the route. So it's a good job getting on his toes. You could probably, to be completely honest, being a little bit nitpicky, you could see him have a little bit more control into that break. You see how his arms are kind of all over the place. Again, you want to see them be a little bit more tight. And I could even argue that I want to see him be a little bit more committed to that slant portion of that route. A lot of guys will really read hips and eyes, and his eyes are slightly inside and his hips are slightly inside, but he could sell it a little bit better. Again, it is nitpicky, but those little things at the NFL level, they do matter. So sells the inside portion. Again, okay. Breaks back outside, which again, do you maybe want to see him be a little bit more in a little bit more control of his body, maybe a little bit in terms of his arms. When your arms are being thrown out all wide, you're not as tight as you want to be, and like aerodynamic. You want it to be pretty tight. No guy's ever going to be running routes like this with his arms completely tucked in or anything like that. Like you still want to have your arms working, but you want them inside your frame. When they start to get outside your frame and kind of like, lack of a better term, and kind of sounding corny, like loosey goosey. It just doesn't lead to as tight of breaks. So it's a decent route. It's not the best route I've ever seen, but with that being said, he does cross the face of the defender. He does defeat the outside arm with his inside arm right there. You can see he punches over the top and wipes it down a little bit to clear himself. Okay, all good. And at the end of the day, he did create, that yard and a half, 2 yards of separation. Now, when it comes to catching the ball, that's something he needs to do here. And you saw a little bit and you heard a little bit at Jets camp with the rookies reporting and stuff like that. He does have a few focus drops, a few easy drops. It's something he has to clean up in his game because if he does carry over what he did at Ohio State to the NFL level, he will be considered to have again, every problem's not the same, but he will be considered to have a drop problem because he does drop way too many easy balls. And I can tell you right now, if this is against the Patriots week 6 or whatever it is, and he's dropping this ball, people are going to be frustrated. So he needs to be able to bring this. He needs to be able to bring this ball in. Hits both of his hands in between. His hands need to be tighter. Your hands are like this. Obviously, the ball can go in between that space, which it does. You need to get your hands, much tighter here. You don't want that separation or that much separation. So, ball squirts in the middle of his hands, drop. So, okay route, not a good catch. So, not the most positive play to start off by Garrett Wilson. Next play, we're going to be looking at some yak as per the title of the play. So, he is in the stack right here behind what I believe is Ruckert, actually. So, let's watch him right here. Nothing big. The thing that you can see is his ability to control his body, and one for Ruckert here. You want to see a better stalk block. You want to see him take the fight to that receiver and not get outside leverage and let him just cross your face to the corner. So not a good block by Ruckert here. Nonetheless, this is not a Ruckert review, even though we should be taking note of him because he is a New York Jet as well, but not the best block. But for Garrett Wilson on the bubble, you can obviously see the acceleration, the contact balance, the slight stiff arm, and then his ability to, in his peripheral vision, notice there's a line. Let's call him a linebacker. A linebacker coming at a high angle over the top. Okay, he has to make the decision in that moment. Do I accelerate and outrun him up the sideline, or am I going to put on the brakes, which he is able to do? Throws on the brakes. Again, you could see his just natural ability to stop really quickly, undercut that tackle attempt, continue to get vertical for a couple of extra yak yards. But again, it's a really simple play, and you're just seeing some of his movement ability, and just that movement right there is enough for me to be able to record that play, because that's some unnatural movement ability that he possesses. So nothing overly complicated in that play, but something to definitely show quickly. So the next play, Wilson Dino TD. He's in the slot right here, so he's going to run like a dino stem, which is not necessarily like it's not like a corner post or a corner, where if you're going to run like a corner post, you're really going to sell the outside portion of the corner, where maybe you're taking 3 to 5 steps. It really depends on the coaching, and the route trees and what they teach. But a corner post or a corner seam is going to be a little bit more dramatic to the outside, and then taking it vertical, where a dino stem is it could be coached, but it could also not be coached. It could just be something that the receiver adjusts to mid play, where the dino stem is just going to be a very slight outside movement to get the DB to think that it is going to be a corner. So it's just a dino stem. So let's watch on the slide right here. Watch the dino. It's very slight. Very, very slight. Again, maybe you can, if you really want to, you can call it a corner post. Just to me, when it's a little bit less emphasized, call it a dino. So Wilson, again, you're seeing the acceleration off of the line, obviously shoulders down, selling vertical, which he is running vertical. Now, in terms of the dino stem, it's very, very slight, but all that is doing is making that DB commit to the outside, just in case it were to be a corner route, because he has that gap right here. If he were to be running a corner route right now, or even a corner stop, whatever it may be, this DB is going to be forced to open his hips and drive down on that, unless he could weave, which would be the proper thing to do. Weave, get over the top of it, and then break on it. But a lot of DBs, college level, but even in the NFL, are going to start to open their hips up. And then once you open those hips up, okay, if you ate up enough ground, then you're going to be able to undercut him, and he's not going to be able to re-accelerate and stay with you. So you want those hips to be open, but you also want to cover enough ground where that break back inside, you're not giving him enough time to recover to said break. So dino stems is going to force the receiver the DB to open his hips up. Once the DB opens his hips up and he's only 3 yards away from Wilson, and then Wilson is going to put his foot, probably his right foot. You'd assume his right foot. Yeah, right foot. Now, again, could he be a little bit more in control of that break? Is he lunging a little bit into that break to get back vertical? To me, yes. Again, you can see his arms are kind of, they're not really within his frame, and he's lunging into it a little bit. It's a little bit too far outside of his frame. I think it could be even better break inside. Again, nitpicky, but with that being said, it all matters at the NFL level. So good dino stem, good job getting the flips to hip of the DB. But again, little things we can clean up. Gets vertical on the post portion. Easily burns his guy, is there for an easy completion, touchdown, and that's all she wrote for that play. So dino stem touchdown, good job. Wilson out hands. Let's see what this one is. He's going to be the bottom of the screen with like that monster split, tight split, where again, whatever you're studying, whoever you're taking your info from, whatever they're going to call it, doesn't matter to me. But right here, tight split bottom. Let's see. Obviously, good route, good hands overall. It's going to be a positive play. He uses that gather/split release where this foot's not going to come up completely even, where I could get even. It's this foot's not going to come completely back, where it is like that split release. So it's like a mix of like a gather/split, which I don't always love, but some people do use it. If you're going to get a guy who's going to aggressively press you, you want to be able to read him a little bit more. You can't necessarily always take that step up to get even, because then you're in his face. You're not affording yourself the room to be able to read him. Or some guys will use those gather or like those split releases to read guys and afford themselves some more room underneath. So here again, he's trying to run an out versus outside leverage, which is never necessarily an easy thing to do. And Wilson stems them initially to the outside, which he wants to get. Again, he wants to take the path of least resistance to the outside break. Now, could he at this point take an outside release, and with him kind of keeping his feet inside and his hips inside, could he take this vertical, hold his line, press into the DB a little bit, and then break outside? Sure, he could, but everybody's going to run routes a little bit differently. And to Wilson right here, okay, if he's going to be overly conservative, then he might crowd that route break. So if he's going to play overly conservative, and if he can't really get into him because he's playing too far over the top, then it's going to make it a tougher break for himself. So instead of just taking it outside to an outside release, he's going to undercut him to hopefully get the corner to, let's see if he speed turns. He's probably going to speed turn, right? Yeah, to speed turn like he does, but now he's blind. So because he opened up too soon, again, Wilson takes the underneath, speed turn. Now he's blind. He's worrying about, excuse my French, but oh shit, I have to get over the top. And with him saying, oh shit, I need to get over the top, he's not tight to him. His momentum is going fully vertical, which allows Wilson obviously to be able to undercut him on the out portion. Now, the break, do I want to see that extended of a stride? I don't. And again, this is something in his game that he already breaks really well. And there's a difference when I talk about people said he's an amazing route runner. Like that's what came out before he got drafted. Oh, great route runner, really, really polished, which to me is complete bullshit. Listen, like I like his route running, I do, but I want to be frank with you. He needs a lot of work on his route running, both from the breaks, the stop steps, the all of it. The press releases. But with that being said, he needs to work at it. But he has a very, very high ceiling as a route runner. And we see it flash. But things like this, if he can just fix overstriding stop steps, his routes are already look really clean to me. The novice eye who just think, oh, good, it looked like a good break. It was a good break. But when you really get into the technicalities of route running, he's not the most polished guy. If he does clean it up, watch out. So here, again, a little bit of overstriding. When you're overstriding, you're going to tend to go over your toes. You really want to slam that stop step, which is this step in this route. You want to slam that down into the ground. You really want to sink into it. You don't want to lunge into a stop step because then you're going to fall over that toe and it's going to take you extra steps to slow down. So a little bit of lunging there. Again, want to see him really slam that into the ground. Again, hands a little bit loosey-goosey, but he is able to get over the toe. Again, it would just be a little bit easier for him if he slammed down instead of over. He gets over the toe. You could see some of the flexibility there. So stop, break, drive, line. Those are the steps right there. Stop again, a little bit of overextending into it. Second step, committed to it. I like that. Third step is the break step. Fine. It's under his frame, and it's hard to tell exactly. You want that break step to be a little bit in front and a little bit outside of your frame. Working off the instep, it's hard to tell exactly right there, but let's say that's fine. Drive step, you want to be able to get over that, flip your hips, which he does. Line, get flat, look back for the ball. Now, again, tracking the ball. Is this the easiest catch in the world? No, it's not. You could see the extension. You could see him looking in the ball. You can see what looks like pretty tight hands. Pull it back in immediately, and he obviously runs out of bounds. So let's watch again. It's good. Again, I think naked eye, the casual watcher is going to look at this break and say, "Oh my God, this is an amazing route," which that portion was. But again, I get nitpicky because NFL level, that guy's going to be tighter. It's going to matter. So he's not an elite route runner yet. He has the ability to. Trust me, he definitely does. I'm not. I don't take it lightly when I make a comparison saying he has movement skills like Odell Beckham. Just his ability to catch balls outside of his frame, his leaping ability, his ability to hang in the air, his yak ability. It's all there. But technique makes a player, So bottom of the screen, Wilson out, stride, stop. Okay. Again, could he be a little bit more in control here? Yes, he's playing.